wide-ranging reforms to build resilience and lay the foundation for stronger and a more inclusive growth. Now, capacity development and continued support by development partners will be critical for the successful implementation of the authorities program. She's going to start the press conference. In attendance for that press conference to take questions and also comments will be Ken Ofori-Atta, who's the Minister of Finance, as well as Ernest Addison, the Governor of the Central Bank of Ghana, and also Tatiana Moso, who is the Senior Communications Officer for the IMF. So we'll be taking you to Washington, D.C. in a bit, where that presser will take off in a bit. We'll be right back. Just stay with us.
If you're a whiz kid that collects straight A's in your sleep, a brainy brains that aces quizzes without even trying, or a clever clogs that knows just about everything, then there's one more battle you have to win: the Literacy Challenge. The nationwide search for the best junior high student is on. Think it could be you going home with 10,000 Ghana cedis and a glitzy trophy? Then, in not less than 600 words, write a story that ends with the following statement: the happiest people do not have the best of everything, they make the best of everything they have. Stories should be written in your own handwriting with the deadline of Saturday, the 15th of July 2023 in mind. Submissions must include an endorsement by a parent or guardian and their full contact details. And once you're done, shoot off your entries to the front desk of City TV or City FM. Or you can send entries to PO Box GP 14123 Accra Central. For more inquiries, call 0558 973 973. The Literacy Challenge 2023 is powered by City TV and supported by City FM.
And so, day 4 continues. What a welcome we had at the Pagapio Palace. From speeches to dancing to symbolic recognition, the palace treated us well. From the palace, the caravan headed to the crocodile ponds. Now to touch or not to touch? This was definitely not for the faint of heart.
Hey, Charlie, that's in a song, baby.
And finally, on part 2 of day 4, we visited the actual northernmost border of Ghana. Watch the Heritage Caravan Diaries, day 4, part 2, every weekday.
Regardless of what your point of view may be, he holds a mirror for you to see the reflection of reality.
2 young men, brilliant student, best student in his school. He says, I believe in this as my identity, my religion. You say no. You won't take him because it breaks discipline. I think we should not be at the wrong side of history.
Dispassionate opinions that shape your point of view.
As for the president's credibility in terms of anti-corruption, I'm afraid to say he's in tatters.
An analytical and non-partisan
point of
proverb,
view. And I can proverb. Sir Patrick Kwaso Bemautoma, Hedeng. This year, forget it.
Dialogue that informs your socio-political point of view.
I'm young enough to wait for God's opportunity tomorrow, and I'm not in a haste.
Are you lacing your boots for 2024?
Absolutely not.
They are not lacing. What time you see the shoe you have been wearing? Whether they are having boots?
I know.
No, it's not Kambu.
A chance for the duty bearers to provide the citizens with an honest point of view.
We are being given rare and privileged access to a building which is part of the National Operations Directorate.
And we are so determined, to fight all manner of crime. Even the broad daylight robberies that we see and the footage say, we can say that we are going all out, to make sure that we contain them.
Educative chit-chat from the expert's point of view.
No, there is. In fact, that rumor has been said about so many vaccines. People said the tetanus vaccine causes infertility, and we are trying to make our women infertile. No, it's not true.
On the Point of View with Bernard Avle, every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on City TV.
And you're still watching City TV. My name is Vivian Kai, Local One. We're bringing you a special coverage of the press conference by the IMF over the approval of the $3 billion program for the country. Now, let's give you an idea of what some economists have been saying with regards to us getting that IMF approval.
Was made during the Executive Board's meeting held on Wednesday following Ghana's receipt of financing assurances from the Paris Club and other bilateral creditors following the establishment of the Official Creditor Committee co-chaired by China and France. This comes months after Ghana sought help from international lenders to provide financing assurances, which is a prerequisite for the IMF's board to sign off the funds program for the country. Government is expecting the disbursement of the first tranche of $600 million within a week. The second and final tranches will be expected in the subsequent months after successful reviews of the program. Reacting to the approval, Professor John Gachi said Ghana is on track to see some correction in balance of payment deficits.
I think it's a welcome news. Welcome news because the government now has support for its policies. Government credibility will be given to government fiscal policy measures that they put in place, because the IMF will serve as a police officer to guide the process and to monitor that things are done well. So to that extent, it's a welcome news. It's also welcome news because government will have some funding soonest to correct the balance of payment process as we go along, and that will have effect on the currency, and then we make frantic effort to structure the economy as we go along.
Professor John Gachi also reiterated calls for government to be more prudent in its fiscal policy direction.
The management of the finances have been so disastrous, and that should be the focus, to make sure we repair things that were not done well. We focus to ensure that true prudence is brought to bear in our financial management. So that is what is required. And while we do that, we should know that even if exchange rate comes to 7 cedis per dollar, inflation falls to even 8% within a quicker space, and we don't have growth, what we call inclusive growth, we aren't going anywhere. The temptation for government is to be looking at election ahead of them and be thinking that this IMF program is going to provide some fiscal space, some attraction across board to the economy of Ghana, for which they want to borrow more and to do things. And that is a great temptation that the government must avoid.
So that's some expectations from some economists on what they feel should be done to ensure that it's useful, that this $3 billion we're getting, we don't move back to the IMF after they're done, within the period for which they will be ensuring that we stay on track in ensuring that our economy is back on track. But one of the interesting developments we've seen within this week is the performance of the cedi. We're told that it has improved and doing quite well than others with regards to the US dollar. Now, this report looks at it further whilst we wait for the IMF to start that press conference. Have a watch.
According to Bloomberg's currency tracker, the cedi's remarkable 33% gain since November marks the highest among approximately 150 tracked currencies. Investors have also enjoyed strong returns, from Ghana's dollar bonds delivering nearly 12% and surpassing the 3.6% average for emerging and frontier markets in the Bloomberg Index. The positive sentiment surrounding the bailout has contributed to the cedi's recent strengthening, with expectations that it may trade below 10 Ghana cedis against the US dollar. This will assist in replenishing Ghana's foreign exchange reserves, which have declined by almost 50% since their peak in August 2021. This decline was primarily due to the central bank utilizing reserves to alleviate pressure on the cedi following the country's debt default. Meanwhile, similar market reactions have been observed in countries receiving IMF programs coinciding with immediate disbursements of funds.
So some interesting developments there around our currency. We'll see how that pans out in the days and weeks to come. But this is our special coverage of the IMF press conference, which is taking place in Washington in a few minutes. We'll take you there immediately the program starts. But we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at other matters that have arisen around the IMF deal. To stay with us, we'll be right back. So welcome back to a special coverage of the IMF press conference, which is currently happening in Washington. That press conference has the IMF chief as well as Ghana's central bank governor and our finance minister. Let's take you down to Washington and have the press conference roll.
In Accra with Dr. Ernest Addison, the governor of Ghana Central Bank, and with us also Stéphane Roudet, the IMF mission chief for Ghana. Stéphane, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tatiana, and a very good day to all that are joining us today. And of course, I would like to welcome also Minister Ofori-Atta and Governor Addison to this press event. I believe we have some excellent news to discuss today with the approval yesterday of a $3 billion 3-year program for Ghana. As you know, Ghana has been facing a severe economic and financial crisis with a debt burden assessed as unsustainable. More specifically, a combination of pre-existing vulnerabilities and external shocks such as the COVID-19 pandemic, Russia's war in Ukraine have resulted in acute financing pressures, depreciating cedi, declining international reserves, slowing economic activity, and high inflation. In response to these difficult circumstances, the Ghanaian authorities have taken decisive steps. Just to give you a few examples, the 2023 budget and the associated revenue reforms were very important first steps towards putting public finances back on a sustainable track. To restore debt sustainability, the government has launched a comprehensive debt restructuring. And the Bank of Ghana has also taken decisive steps to control inflation, and these efforts are already paying off. These are all essential ingredients to address the current challenges and to boost Ghana's prospects going forward. Of course, help from the international community is also needed, and the IMF is playing its part. The $3 billion extended credit facility approved by our board yesterday will support the government's efforts to address this crisis and build the foundations for a better and more inclusive future for all Ghanaians. It will also help ease financing constraints, including by unlocking more funding from the rest of the international community. Ghana's economic program has three key objectives. The first one is to restore macroeconomic stability. The second one is to ensure that debt is put on a sustainable path. And the third one is to lay the foundations for stronger and more inclusive growth. To reach these objectives, several policy priorities have been laid out by the government. First, large and front-loaded measures to bring public finances back on a sustainable path. And this will be done by mobilizing more domestic revenue and by improving the efficiency of public spending. Importantly, and I want to emphasize that the program does and will continue to include efforts to protect the vulnerable. Just to give you a few examples, the 2023 budget has, for example, doubled the level of benefits for the existing targeted cash transfer program, the LEAP, the Living Empowerment Against Poverty program, and it has also boosted allocations towards the school feeding program. Second, to support fiscal adjustment and enhance resilience to shocks, ambitious structural reforms will be implemented in the areas of tax policy, revenue administration, public financial management, as well as reforms to address the weaknesses in the energy and the cocoa sectors. Third, and I already referred to that, steps are being taken to bring inflation under control. And the Bank of Ghana has been raising interest rates and has virtually eliminated monetary financing of the budget. A flexible exchange rate policy will also be implemented to help rebuild international reserves. Fourth, measures to preserve financial stability are very central to the program. And last but not least, the government will also be implementing reforms to encourage private investment, higher growth, and job creation. In conclusion, let me highlight that this program and policies and reforms, together with the debt restructuring, will help Ghana overcome immediate economic and financing challenges and pave the way for a brighter future for all Ghanaians.
Thank you, Stefan. Minister, please. I think it's a special day for you and for your country.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. It is indeed a special day. And good afternoon, good morning. And really thank you for joining us for this joint press briefing on Ghana's approved $3 billion standard credit facility of our partners, the International Monetary Fund. A special day indeed for Ghana, for the fund, and really a signal to our other African countries who are looking to be in this program. But on behalf of the President, government, and people of Ghana, I'd like to thank the board and management of the fund for their commitment towards the Ghanaian cause. Let me extend a special appreciation to the IMF Managing Director for her unwavering support and belief in Ghana's ambitions and the reform agenda. Also, we cannot forget the tireless efforts of Deputy Managing Director Mr. Boli for his tireless encouragement of us and the work he did. To the mission chief, Stefan, and the entire mission team, a big thank you for your efforts and constructive dialogue with the government as we work to secure this fund supported ECF program. Also, appreciation to Abebe and Annalisa. And our office here, led by Edie, Bijani, Akosta, and Sauda, for all that they have done. We do acknowledge also the pivotal role of our bilateral partners, especially members of the G20 Common Framework, the Paris Club, the work done by the G7, and really the support by India, Saudi, China, and Turkey have been really tremendous in bringing us this far. The financial assurances that were delivered last Friday, May 12, was instrumental in securing yesterday's board approval, and we truly do thank all of them for that. Clearly, it's also a signal that the common framework can be made to work, and we look forward to others following through. So we look forward to fruitful engagement with both our bilateral and private creditors in the days ahead as we work towards achieving the sustainability that will anchor our economic stability. Ghana's IMF board approval is far from a magic solution wand, and what it is, however, is a crucial first step on the necessary journey of strong reforms, inclusive growth, and relentless pursuit of a growth agenda geared towards restoring our economy to a place of strength, prosperity, and resilience. Undoubtedly, the economic toll on our people from the effects of the global public crisis cannot be understated. We are indeed grateful for the forbearance of all Ghanaians in the wake of the domestic debt exchange program, which was difficult but ultimately a necessary exercise. It also has impacted our banking institutions, and we look to work with the banks to make sure that we get the financial stability that is required. Ultimately, the debt exchange program, combined with our multi-year focus on growth, fiscal sustainability, and debt sustainability, should accelerate our economy renaissance. We're already seeing some relative stability in the currency and in inflation, thanks to the work also by the central bank. Indeed, I think we have to move ahead, and as the good book says, we should forget the former things. We should not dwell on the past and see that new things are being done, and we are ready for that. The government of President Akufo-Addo is acutely aware of the enormous tasks ahead. Will be inspired by the momentum and propel Ghana to attain the staff level agreement, financial assurance from our bilateral creditors, and board approval in near record time to implement the 36-month ECF program. We are certainly on the path towards not just recovery, but also revitalizing our economy. In that regard, I'm confident that government, with the support of the fund and the collective effort of the Ghanaian people, will work through our current challenges and emerge stronger than before. What is being seen is marvelous in our eyes as Ghanaians, and it is a moment